Tom Selleck is 80 years old now, and he's finally telling the truth about Sally Field. Tom Selleck was born as Thomas William Selleck on January 29, 1945 in Detroit, Michigan. He grew up in Southern California. When he was young, he was really good at sports and had a confident personality that people loved. On TV later, he was tall, had broad shoulders, and was friendly. At first, Selleck wanted to play sports instead of acting. He got a basketball scholarship to go to the University of Southern California. While he was there, he studied business and played basketball at a really high level. He showed he was disciplined and committed, which helped him a lot when he worked in Hollywood. Later, acting wasn't something he wanted to do right away, like many young guys back then. Selleck's life was shaped by service and doing the right thing. He served in the California Army National Guard during the Vietnam War time. This experience taught him to have a strong sense of duty and respect for working-class values. These qualities showed up later in the characters he played on screen. Selleck's early years in Hollywood weren't about becoming a star right away. Instead, they were about keeping going and dealing with rejection. During the 1970s, he was in commercials, small TV roles, and TV shows that didn't last long. Even though he had obvious charisma and looked great on screen, big success didn't come to him. Roles he wanted went to other people, including chances that could have made a less determined actor give up. Instead of getting bitter about it, Selleck kept working on getting better at acting and learned to be patient and humble. These early years made him appreciate having steady work and helped him stay grounded about fame. This attitude made him different from many other actors during Hollywood's flashier times. Everything changed in 1980 when Tom Selleck got the role of Thomas Magnum in Magnum P.I. This role made him a global star almost overnight. He played a laid-back, quick-witted private investigator who lived in Hawaii. Selleck brought humor, intelligence, and deep emotions to a character that could have been boring. Magnum's famous mustache, Hawaiian shirts, and Ferrari became symbols everyone knew. But it was Selleck's acting that made the show special. He showed Magnum as a guy with contradictions, charming but also hurt, confident but also vulnerable, funny but also deeply loyal. The series ran for 8 seasons and became one of the most loved TV dramas of that time. Selleck's performance won him an Emmy Award and made sure he'd be remembered in TV history. Importantly, he didn't want to be typecast, so he carefully picked roles that let him grow instead of just doing the same thing over and over. When he was at the top of his TV fame, Selleck successfully moved into making movies. He showed he could be a romantic leading man in 3 Men and a Baby, which became one of the biggest money-making films of the 1980s. After that, he was in Mr. Baseball, In and Out, High Road to China, and Quigley Down Under. That last one showed his natural talent for westerns. Selleck's work in westerns showed another side of who he was on screen. He brought authenticity, quiet strength, and moral clarity to the genre, reminding people of classic Hollywood stars while making the roles his own. His commanding physical presence and understated acting style made him perfect for stories about honor, resilience, and justice. In the 2000s, Tom Selleck came back to television with a new purpose, taking on more mature and thoughtful roles. His role as police chief Jesse Stone in a series of made-for-TV films became one of the most critically respected parts of his career. As Jesse Stone, Selleck gave a deeply human performance. Flawed, thoughtful, and quietly powerful, these films let him explore themes of loneliness, morality, and redemption, showing both the characters' struggles and the wisdom Selleck had gained over decades in the industry. He did more than just act. He helped shape the character's tone and development, showing even more his artistic integrity. During the 2007 to 2008 TV season, he stepped into the spotlight in a memorable way with his recurring role as A.J. Cooper on the hit series Las Vegas. Set in the glittering, high-stakes world of Sin City, the show gave viewers a behind-the-scenes look at the lives of casino employees whose work responsibilities often crashed into their personal struggles. As A.J. Cooper, he brought depth and believability to a character dealing with the intense pressures of working in a place where luxury, temptation, and danger were always present. Las Vegas thrived on its fast-paced storytelling, sharp dialogue, and glamorous setting. But at its core it was a character-driven drama that looked at loyalty, ambition, moral dilemmas, and the consequences of life-changing decisions made in the blink of an eye. His performance during this time added a fresh dynamic to the cast, making the story richer with emotional nuance and grounded realism through storylines that looked at workplace conflict, ethical challenges, and personal relationships strained by the demands of the job. His role helped make the larger-than-life atmosphere of the casino world feel more human. In 2010, Selleck achieved another career milestone when he was cast as Frank Reagan, the Patriarch and Police Commissioner in Blue Bloods. The role showed off his gravitas, leadership, and moral authority, connecting strongly with audiences who admired his portrayal of principled strength. As Frank Reagan, Selleck became a symbol of steady leadership and ethical resolve, holding the series together for more than a decade. The show's success proved once again his remarkable ability to connect with viewers across age groups and cultural backgrounds. From the early 1970s through the early 1980s, Tom Selleck's personal life happened quietly, alongside the gradual rise of his acting career, showing a man who even before worldwide fame placed deep value on commitment, family, and responsibility. In 1971, Selleck married Jacqueline Ray, a fashion model and actress at a time when he was still working hard to make it in Hollywood. These weren't the glamorous headline-filled years of superstardom. Instead, they were marked by auditions, commercial work, supporting roles, and the persistence needed by a young actor trying to find his place in an unpredictable industry. Throughout their 11-year marriage, which lasted until 1982, Ray provided stability during a time when Selleck's career was uncertain, and the couple shared a life mostly away from the intense public attention that would later follow him. One of the most significant and lasting parts of that marriage was Selleck's decision to adopt Jacqueline Ray's son, Kevin Shepard, who was born in 1966. The adoption was a powerful expression of Selleck's belief in chosen family and emotional responsibility, showing his willingness to step fully into the role of a father rather than staying a distant or symbolic figure. Kevin took Selleck's last name and was raised as his own, a bond that went beyond legal obligation. Even as Selleck's career demands increased and the marriage eventually ended, his commitment to Kevin stayed strong, showing a deeply rooted sense of loyalty and care. Kevin Shepard would later carve out his own identity in the creative world, choosing music rather than acting. He became the drummer for the American rock band Tonic, which had significant success in the late 1990s with hits such as If You Could Only See. Kevin's accomplishments showed both his independent talent and the supportive environment in which he was raised, one that encouraged creative expression and perseverance. Selleck has long been described as a proud father figure, quietly supportive of Kevin's career while letting him have the freedom to define success on his own terms. After the end of his first marriage and as his professional life began to change dramatically, Selleck found love again in a way that felt both unexpected and deeply grounding. August 7, 1987, at the height of his global fame from Magnum P.I., he married Jill Joan Mack, an English actress and dancer born in 1957. The two met in Britain, where Mack was performing in the stage musical Cats. Their meeting was a striking contrast to the Hollywood norm, a world-famous TV star drawn to someone outside the typical celebrity spotlight. Their connection was reportedly immediate and sincere, based more on shared values and mutual respect than on fame or status. The marriage to Jill Joan Mack marked a big turning point in Selleck's life. Determined to protect their relationship from the pressures of celebrity, he became fiercely private, resisting the constant exposure that often comes with stardom. This commitment to privacy extended to their family life, which he deliberately kept away from Hollywood's glare. Rather than letting his career dictate every personal choice, Selleck made conscious decisions to slow down professionally when necessary, putting stability and being present at home first. Their union was further strengthened with the birth of their daughter Hannah on December 16, 1988. Fatherhood in his 40s brought a renewed sense of purpose for Selleck, and he often spoke of how becoming a father later in life changed his priorities. Determined to be present during Hannah's growing up years, he famously stepped back from the peak of his TV fame, choosing family over relentless career momentum, a decision that set him apart in an industry known for its demands and compromises. Hannah Selleck grew up mostly shielded from the public eye, raised with a strong emphasis on discipline, humility, and personal achievement. She went on to become an accomplished competitive equestrian, earning recognition in show jumping rather than following her father into acting. Her success showed the values taught by both parents: dedication, patience, and the understanding that fulfillment comes from passion and hard work rather than celebrity. At 80 years old, Tom Selleck has reached a stage in life where looking back comes easily and honesty feels necessary. With the perspective of decades behind him, Selleck has spoken openly about his past relationships, and among the most lasting and gently romanticized of them is his connection to actress Sally Field. Though their time together was brief and happened quietly, it has stuck around in Hollywood lore as one of those what might have been stories, two stars crossing paths just as their lives were about to change forever. Selleck and Field were romantically linked around 1979, a pivotal time in his personal life. He had recently separated from his first wife, Jacqueline Ray, and was dealing with the uncertain emotional place that often follows the end of a marriage. Looking back, Selleck has acknowledged that this transitional moment shaped how deeply he could commit to anything new. "I wasn't broken," he once reflected, "but I was still figuring out who I was outside of a marriage." That changes how you approach love. Into that space came Sally Field, warm, intelligent, and already a familiar face to American audiences. although they never starred together in a major movie. Selleck and Field moved in the same professional circles throughout the 1970s. Both were part of a generation of performers trying to shake off early typecasting and prove they were capable of more serious, lasting work. Field had already achieved fame as the girl next door in Gidget and later as the quirky innocent nun in The Flying Nun. Selleck, meanwhile, spent years grinding through auditions, commercials, and short-lived TV roles, struggling for the breakthrough that always seemed just out of reach. "We were both climbing," Selleck said. "The difference was she had already reached a plateau I was still aiming for." Their shared history even went back to the odd pre-fame corners of Hollywood, including appearances on shows like The Dating Game. While they didn't necessarily appear on the same episode, the coincidence shows how close their paths ran long before destiny stepped in. "It's funny to think about," Selleck mused. "You're young, you're hopeful, you're doing whatever work comes your way. You have no idea which moments are going to matter later." By the time Selleck got the role of Thomas Magnum in Magnum P.I., everything changed. The series didn't just make him a star, it turned him into a cultural icon almost overnight. With fame came relentless schedules, public scrutiny, and career demands that left little room for personal stability. Field, meanwhile, was evolving rapidly as an actress, soon to earn critical acclaim and Oscars for performances that shattered her early TV image. "We were both moving fast," Selleck admitted. "Not away from each other exactly, but forward in different directions. There was no dramatic breakup, no scandal, and no bitterness. Instead, their relationship faded quietly, a casualty of timing rather than emotion." Selleck has always spoken of Field with deep respect and affection. "Sally is exactly who people think she is," he said warmly. "She's real, she's kind, and she's stronger than she ever lets on." In an industry often defined by illusion, that authenticity left a lasting impression on him. Now, decades later, Selleck views their brief romance not with regret, but with gratitude. It represents a moment in his life when possibility was still wide open and the future unwritten. "Some people come into your life for a season," he reflected. "They're not meant to stay forever, but they matter forever." For Tom Selleck and Sally Field, their story was never about permanence. It was about timing, shared ambition, and a connection that remains fondly remembered long after the spotlight moved on.